The NFL's underdogs are obviously now the NFL's top dogs. We are the kings. Everybody else is our peasant. Philly 500 is here. I am Adrian Petcu. We are the champs.
We are the champs of the world, right?
Of the world.
Of the world. For some reason, that's no longer there. That's right, Mandela effect. But we are the champions, and I love our chances of actually repeating again. I think we have a really good opportunity to do so, and I think it's going to be one hell of a year.
You have a franchise quarterback in Carson Wentz on his rookie deal for 3 more seasons. Discluding Brandon Graham, your defensive line is signed through 2021, the major players. There is a foundation in place, not only for a repeat, but a dynasty. But according to some fans out there, if I throw the repeat word out there, even though the Eagles are better this year than they were last year, when I throw that repeat word out there, I'm now all of a sudden cocky. Are we cocky because I think and you think that the Eagles have a very, very realistic chance at repeating?
I don't think we're cocky at all. I just think we're truth tellers. I think we're being honest. And I think when you are the champions and nobody has beaten you yet, and the season hasn't even started, you have bragging rights. You have the right to say, we're the best and we're going to repeat. Why wouldn't we think we're going to repeat? We just won. We just won with how many guys hurt? Now we get all these guys back. We've improved our roster. Sure, of course we think we're going to repeat, and we should. We would be crazy not to. We would be dingbats.
We would be. Dingbats! We are a better team. Carson Wentz is motivated because he didn't win a Super Bowl. Well, he has a ring, but he didn't win the game. So he's going to be motivated. You have people calling him a system quarterback. He's going to want to get going and revved up this year. I don't think there's going to be a hangover as per se. Maybe they might lose a couple early on, but overall, because of that, because of Carson Wentz, it's hard for me to see a hangover and a slip-up here.
I know one game they ain't losing. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm telling you, guaranteed.
Uh-oh.
Philly 500 he's got a lot of explaining and crow to eat. That week 1 game versus Atlanta, the banner raising night, that's done. Done. It's over. You can count that as a loss for Atlanta. We ain't losing that game. Not on that night. No way. So that's 1-0 right out of the gate.
For 52 years, we had been starving for a championship. And on that opening night, the banner unveiling, 52 years of frustration is going to be let out in jubilation. The Atlanta Falcons are not coming to Philadelphia and beating the Eagles on opening night. Not happening.
Nah. I mean, look, New England lost last year on opening night, but they're so used to it. It was like nothing for them. They've won, 5 Super Bowls? It was not a big deal. This is our first Super Bowl. This is our first banner. That team is going to be hyped. That city's going to be hyped. That crowd, it's going to be nuts. Atlanta is in for it. They're in for a beating. A double moonwalk on that ass.
Double moonwalk. But seriously, the energy in that crowd, it's not like last year because New England, they had won several times before. The fans weren't as rowdy as what this Eagles fan base is going to be like. It's going to be rabid. It's going to be as deafening as the NFC Championship game, as the divisional round. It's going to be just as bad, Atlanta Falcons fans. It's going to be impossible to come in here and beat us.
Yeah, it is. It just is. I mean, you're talking on national TV in front of the world on Thursday night. Now, it's just if I was an Atlanta Falcon fan, I would just chalk that as a nice L. Early loss, early season. Let's focus on that week 2 because they ain't got no chance week 1. And that's it. And if Atlanta Falcons don't like it, too bad. It's now, only the truth.
If they were playing us week 2, coming off that emotional high, okay, all right. Yeah. Now all of a sudden, all right, And then you guys, all right, maybe you guys can beat us. But in week one, all that going on, it's like even if the players come in and they're like, all right, they kind of feel a little bit of that Super Bowl hangover. Well, you know what's going to get them fired up? It's going to be the crowd. The crowd's going to get them back in it.
Yeah, yeah. The week 2 game, you're right. The week 2 game is the game where you could have that letdown. You're getting a couple days extra off because you're playing on Thursday. Then, you're celebrating that game. I could see a situation where who they play week 2 again? I can't remember.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay with no Winston. So maybe they have to close for 2 quarters, and then it's over. But week 2, if Atlanta's playing us week 2, I would agree with you. I would say that may be a tough matchup. That's a tough spot. But week 1, I don't care who they're playing. I don't care who they're playing on that opening night at home with the banner being raised. They're not losing that game. They're not losing that game.
Yeah.
It's just, and the funny thing about the whole Atlanta Falcons thing from last year, we did a lot of bitter dingbats about who we were scared of or who we were not scared of. And you definitely said Atlanta. I would talk a lot about Minnesota, how I thought they were no threat to us.
Well, Minnesota was my number one.
Yeah.
We're both Minnesota were like, yeah, they're going to spank them.
Yeah. Yeah. But one team we were both worried about was the New Orleans Saints.
Yes.
The Saints were the tough matchup. I still think we would have won, but that was the tough matchup in that championship. That would have been a tough game. That would have been a close game. That's why we were celebrating when Diggs had that amazing catch, and we knew it was over.
Yeah, and to go into it even further, if you remember, even throughout the entire season, I was like, all right, I'm waiting for Atlanta. I'm waiting for Atlanta. I'm still waiting for Atlanta. I'm waiting. Okay, maybe they're not the 2016 Falcons. Maybe the 2016 Falcons was an outlier. And that is the truth that Atlanta Falcons fans do not want to hear. They think that they are still the 2016 Falcons. Kyle Shanahan is not there anymore. They are no longer the best red zone offense in the NFL. They are no longer a top 5 offense. As long as Steve Sarkisian is going to stay in Hot Atlanta, they are not going to be a threat to the NFC.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. I think that Shanahan loss was a big, big loss for Atlanta. And it was clearly it showed in the championship. I mean, that divisional game. I mean, they were in a position down there. They didn't run one time. If they would have ran once or twice, they might have scored. But, hey, it is what it is. Atlanta, they got a beating coming to them week 1. That's the way it is.
So, and we know, Devontae Freeman, great running back, but the way that they block, zone blocking, that's what the Eagles' defensive line matches up best with.
Yeah, Devontae Freeman, I only had 7 yards in that game.
7
rushing. Yards. Yeah, come on. Double walk that ass. I'm sorry. It has to happen. It has to. Yeah. I can't wait, though. I got to tell you. I'm ready for football tonight. There's football on tonight. I can't wait just to watch a preseason game. Yeah. I hope they show a lot of Brian Dawkins, by the way, who goes into the Hall of Fame. Yeah, congratulations to him.
Talk B-Doc a little bit. We talked about him a little bit last night on the Philly Influencer podcast that we had. Joint podcast with 4th of July. So that was a lot of fun. Had some technical difficulties, unfortunately, but I think we're going to try to get the video up there on Facebook. But, speaking of Dawkins, I mean, here's the thing about the safety position. Back in the 70s, back in the 80s, the safeties were the corners that were too slow. So basically, the guys that ran the 4.6s and the 4.7s, you'd play them at safety, and you'd be like, all right, dude, just don't let anybody get behind you. That was the safety position. Yeah. Then Brian Dawkins came to Philadelphia, and everything changed. Jim Johnson using him as a blitzer, the way that he can get on the line near the line of scrimmage and make the tackles on 3rd and 1, the way that he just leap over the pile, the passion that he played with, the interceptions, the way that he could cover as well. He did everything for the Eagles. Yeah. He revolutionized the position. So when he came to town, there was less than 5 Hall of Famers at the safety spot, and now you've got this rush of 4 of them with Ed Reed, and you got Polamalu.
Yeah.
got Brian Dawkins and John Lynch as well. Lynch made it, right? So
I'm not sure if he made it, but he eventually will get in. I mean, it's just a matter of time
yeah,
if he hasn't.
If he did or not, but
yeah, I don't know.
Obviously, the point still is he's the one that revolutionized everything.
Oh yeah, he did. I mean, you remember clearly you had free safety and a strong safety. The strong safety was almost like that run stopping, come up safety, while the free safety really hung back. And that's how they used to really play. Dawkins could be interchangeable. And now you see all the safeties are kind of like that. You have to be able to cover. You have to be able to tackle as a safety. It's a lot different. And it's all because of Brian Dawkins. Now, this is my argument, not to change it with Brian Dawkins, but this is my argument to why Randall Cunningham one day will get into the Hall of Fame, because he changed the position. That is something that they look and consider very strongly when you look at the Hall of Fame. Did this person change the position? How people look at the quarterback position or the safety position. Dawkins definitely was the first one, the way Jim Johnson used them.
Yeah. And now you're seeing safeties get drafted top 10 like every year almost. So
yeah,
that used to be something you wouldn't even get a safety in the first round, back in the day. So just crazy how everything has changed. So Brian Dawkins to the Hall. That I wish I could go.
Me too.
I got to produce all weekend. I got work, but I know the 4th of July guys are going to be up there. They're taking their road trip right now, so they will be there.
I'll be watching. I'll definitely be watching, seeing what they're showing and putting out. Definitely.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
Yeah. All right. We can talk training camp a little bit, but here's what I want to say first. I talked about this briefly on another video I did. I was asked by somebody if I would do some training camp recaps, and the thing is I try not to get too entrenched in the training camps because here's the thing. All right, so all these guys that are having these great camps right now, this is routine. This is every year. We see this every year, and it's great. All right, yes, you're having a great camp. Okay, it's a step in the right direction. But all it is one step. It's a process. So just because Matt Pryor looks great right now at guard, that doesn't mean he's ready to start. I mean, I had a guy telling me that he should start over Wiz. I haven't even seen the motherfucker play. How is he starting over Wiz? So
yeah,
relax with some of this stuff.
Yeah, well, I definitely can see your point. I have put out some training camp videos. I can't help it. I want to talk Eagle football and stuff. But you're right. One of the things that we got to be cautious of is not to say, hey, this guy had a great day today. That means he's this player for the future. I will admit, I can't help but get excited about Josh Sweat and everything I've heard about him and about Sidney Jones. It's exciting, but you're right. You have to hold that in and wait till they actually play a game. Yeah. I'm with you.
And even during the preseason, you still have
during the preseason. That's right.
Still
during the preseason. Because you figure, let's say Josh Sweat's going to play preseason. What? Most likely he's going to play what? In the third quarter, right?
Yep.
So, the competition's going to be not so good. And then guys will get cut towards the end, and maybe he moves up, down. You don't really know until they play. It's just the truth.
Yeah. So not only are you playing second and third units for some of these guys, but you're also seeing basic vanilla offense and defense. Yeah. So there's not a lot of thinking that you have to do. There's not a lot of mental processing in the preseason. So that's why it's just it's like because I remember last year, man, like freaking Mitch Trubisky like lit up the preseason, and people were like, oh, here's the next one. It's Mitchell Trubisky. It's him, and he wasn't that great. No. So it just relax, people.
Relax. It's very hard to relax, but I hear what you're saying.
Just because we're hearing good things, that doesn't mean they're not going to prosper. But my point is, I just see this every year. Not every year. You see sometimes Jalen Mills, like that guy, he wound up working out. But some other guys, like Curtis Marsh was always like the OTA training camp wonder until his final year when he got lit up and he finally got cut. I remember Wendell Smallwood, his rookie season, he was supposed to be great. He had great OTAs. He looked good in training camp, and then he did nothing because he couldn't block. So It just, again, just like, just take everything with a grain of salt. Just because Devontae Bosby looks great right now in practice shorts, doesn't mean he's going to go in there and, I don't know, light it up.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I agree. You got to take it with a grain of salt.
Just temper it. Just temper it. Just relax. All right. Matt Pryor will be good in 2-3 years potentially, but he's not ready to start right now. Good God.
He does look good though.
He does.
So does John Sweat. They all look good. Everybody looks good. What are you talking about? Hall of Fame across the board. Look, my main thing with training camp, to be honest, is I just don't want anybody getting hurt. That's the most important thing. Nobody get hurt, and then have Carson come back and play. That's all I care about. I mean, at the crux of it, at the end of the day, those are the things that matter to me the most. Next week they'll be playing a preseason game, and we'll see from there. We'll go from there.
I got another example. Paul Turner.
Isn't he a New England Patriot now? I think they picked.
Well, they picked not with the Patriots anymore. That's Jordan Matthews.
Jordan Matthews got cut because he hurt his hamstring again or something. I had about 5 or 6 people ask me yesterday, "Are we going to sign him?" I said, "No, he will not be back."
No.
And they shouldn't, and they should not.
I was right about him too.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I think Nelson Aguilar is going to have a huge year. I think the thing with Aguilar is everything has always been mental for him, right? He has really got down on himself, and it became a mental struggle with him. They moved him to the slot. He has a lot more confidence. They win a Super Bowl. He's going to come in, and he's not going to think about things as much. He's just going to play and react. And I think he's going to have a big year.
I'm glad you bring up Aguilar because it makes me actually think of this. So, about the story now with Brian Dawkins and the depression and how the wife and all that, how helping him out and getting him through all that. So I love hearing that from Brian Dawkins out of all people because we in Philadelphia, we're a tough town. We get on you, and the one guy this year that some people were kind of getting on, especially a couple years ago, Nelson Aguilar, but the guy this year was Markelle Fultz. And he's only 19 years old. And it's like you forget sometimes just how mentally fragile we as human beings can be sometimes. Especially, as a society, we can be rough. And in Philly, I mean, all we want at the end of the day is just to see you, play your hardest and go out there and play every play, all that, all that jingo, all that good old stuff. But to hear this from Brian Dawkins, we saw Brian Dawkins as the man's man, and for him to even admit this kind of raises your eyes a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's very easy to forget, these guys are young and they're just people like all of us, and they go through the same struggles, and sometimes, people are very insensitive. It's just the way it is. But yeah, I mean, to hear Dawkins' stories it's crazy. It's remarkable. I mean, you would not think of anybody going through that would be Brian Dawkins, but it happens. It happens to everybody goes through things in life. So, whatever Nelson Aguilar specifically went through those first few years, he seemed like he's come out on the other side, a lot better, a lot stronger, and I expect big things from him this year. I really do.
Yeah.
I think he can provide, the one thing I think with the Eagles offense where they could get better is they didn't have, when Sproles went out, they didn't have a lot of guys that were the game breaker that could get a ball at the 5-yard line catch and then break it. With Sproles back, and I think Aguilar has that potential. I think he's that good of an athlete. So if we could add that element to the game, especially with Mike Wallace, who I think is an upgrade over Torrey Smith, yeah, the Eagles' offense is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. All right, you know what we're gonna do now, Philly 500? We're going we're going to open it up to the chat. And we're going to see if we have any questions. So if anybody has any questions for us, let us know. So
let's do it.
See if I can find any questions.
I see one. Bring back Matt McGloin. Preseason fun again. Who else but Sean Fitzpatrick? You know what? Matt McStink needs to stay as far away from the Eagles as possible. As possible.
Daniel Charles says, guys, I swear Dallas radio is talking so much shit about Carson recovery, saying that it's not a possibility he'll be the same player.
Let me tell you something. I'm glad this guy brought this up because let me say this. These Giant fans and Cowboy fans, they are scared shitless of Carson Wentz. They are so scared that he is going to be what we know he is. They're scared. They are hoping with everything they have that was a fluke or that the knee injury will make him lesser than what he is. But the truth of the matter is he has Hall of Fame potential, and we stole him from the Cowboys. I'm going to have to do a video on this because people forget we jumped over the Cowboys. They were going to get him. They had worked with him, I think, at the Senior Bowl. They loved him.
They coached him at the
Senior Bowl, right. And they had their sights set on him. And if we don't make that trade, we are playing him twice a year. And Dallas is winning Super Bowls, not us. I believe that. That trade was one of the biggest things that ever happened for our franchise. And maybe it changed the path of us and the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. There it is. There it is.
It's crazy.
They're scared because, you know, they have their 5 little rings and they think they can never be caught.
I had a 13-year-old tell me, well, we have 5 rings. I said, but you didn't see one. You never saw one. So you can't claim that. You don't know what it's like to be me, a champion.
Yeah. And 13-year-olds definitely don't know what a VHS is.
No.
There's no way.
No, they don't. I don't even think I have a working VHS in my house.
But the funny thing is like they're over in Dallas worried about Carson Wentz. Why don't you worry about your own quarterback who stinks? You know, I was on stinks. I was on the Sports Fury show, and you know when we talked about the Des Bryant thing, and Sean, you know, was like, yeah, you know, they got rid of the big deal because at some point they're gonna have to extend Dak Prescott. Please, Dallas.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Extend him. Give him all the money. Extend him today, please.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That channel, was it the Dallas Cowboys Suck channel? If everybody gets a chance, look it up. This guy is just putting up stuff on, like, busting on the Cowboys. It's hysterical. I think it's a hysterical channel. Shout out to that guy. Because that cracks me up, that stuff, man. I love it. But did you see where they're showing Dak Prescott, Carson Wentz film, how to be more like Carson Wentz? Yeah. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, that says it all. That says it all. They're sitting in there in their private offices going, damn, we could have had that quarterback. Damn, we could have had that guy. That's why the Cowboy fans and Giant fans are scared.
They're petrified. All right, let's see. Hanika Lloyd says, hey, guys, I'm from Miami, Florida. Watch you both almost daily, and I'm a huge Eagles fan. I spoke with Sidney Jones, and he told me he is starting. Well, I don't know did he mean that? Because, like, I would think it's, like, way too early if he's starting right now, right? Like, they're not making that decision yet.
I don't know, but if he's starting in the slot, okay. But if he's starting the outside, that means Darby's got to go. You know, I do think they may trade Ronald Darby, but you know what? Thank you for that guy's support. You know, appreciate and watch his videos. Thank you so much.
I mean, I want to start because that's my guy. So.
Yeah, he looks great.
It's a step. It's a step. All right, he looks great right now. The next
my
step.
phone died, so I can't see the chat. So if you read them off, I can't see it anymore. My phone just went on me.
I'll read off the questions. So, yeah, Sidney Jones right now, he looks great. OTAs, training camp, and I'm a huge Sidney Jones guy. So this is, again, I'm using the same logic with this. So it's a step. Let's see in the preseason. That's the next step. If he continues to look good, okay, great. Then the season starts. Then let's see it then as well. So it's a 3-part process.
Yeah.
So there we go. Let's see. I don't care if people think he's a system quarterback. People think Brady is a system quarterback, and he has 5 rings, says Jake Reynolds. And I think Brady is a system quarterback as well. And I think he's the best of all time. So it's because if you know about New England system, I figured out it was a system when Matt Castle was 11-5, and
right.
They almost made the playoffs.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think you could put Carson in any system, he would flourish.
I agree with that too.
I just do.
Where do we think Dez Bryant is going?
Cleveland. It sounds like he's going to meet with Cleveland.
Huh? I would love that. Josh Gordon, Dez, and Jarvis Landry.
I thought he was talking to them or going to meet with them, but I'm not sure. I'm going to say Cleveland. That's my guess. I mean,
by Cleveland. I'm intrigued. I don't know how many games they're going to win, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I think they're on their way up. I think Cleveland made a mistake in the draft. I believe this. I believe if they would have took Barkley 1, even sitting at 4, the Giants probably would have traded back. If they're worried the Jets are going to take Mayfield, they probably could have gone from 4 to 2 and sat there and got Barkley and Mayfield.
Mm-hmm. I was with you. I was saying that. I thought they should have drafted Barkley. Oh, there's that bring back Matt McGloin.
Oh, God. That was brutal.
Oh, David in Atlanta is in here.
Shout out to David in Atlanta. What up, buddy?
He's not scared of Carson Wentz.
He's trembling. Don't lie. He's trembling. He should be more scared of Carson Wentz than Nick Foles. See, here's the thing Atlanta Falcons fans don't understand about this game. When we played Atlanta, we won 15-10. Nick Foles was struggling coming into this game. They were trying to get him comfortable. They were trying to make things easier on him. And they were fiddling around with stuff in the first half. You see him start to play better late in the second half, like around the fourth quarter stuff. He started getting into a rhythm, and that carried over the NFC Championship game. The Foles that they saw, when we played Atlanta, is not the Foles against Minnesota or New England.
Yeah. All right. He thinks the Falcons are going to win the Super Bowl.
Hey, if we choke Super Bowl 51, I probably would think that we're going to win the Super Bowl for the next 5 years too. But it ain't happening.
I said this before, and I'll say it again. I have a feeling about your Falcons that, unfortunately, I think you guys think that you still are the 2016 Falcons.
No.
And that efficient offense that we saw, I think you guys still think that you guys are that. But you're not. Because Steve Sarkisian is now in Atlanta.
That's the big problem.
He stinks.
He does.
Stinks. Ugh.
And Matt Ryan's going to have a lot of what? Deep penetration, right?
Penetration.
Look, Atlanta's got their hands full with New Orleans because I think New Orleans is going to be the toughest team in that division. I think New Orleans is the second best team in the NFC conference, to be honest with you. I think that, Atlanta's got their hands full. I mean, they're a very talented roster, though. No doubt about it.
But what if they're just a 10-6 team every year, and that one year was an outlier?
Yeah, or they just don't come up in the big games when it matters the most. I mean,
that was Matt Ryan's problem earlier in his career.
Yeah,
they were a a better team.
I mean, they only scored 10 points against us. We knew why our offense was struggling a lot of that game, but they didn't put up a lot of points. They didn't light it up.
Yeah.
I like David Atlanta, though. I respect the loyalty to his team, and it's going to be a fun season.
We're gonna have a lot of fun. So I'm gonna bring back Behind Enemy Lines, and
I love that show.
I'm gonna see if he can hang with me in a football conversation. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna bring him on the show. He's gonna defend his team. I'm gonna see what points he has. I will dissect his points if I feel like I have to, and we'll see if he can bring it.
I look forward to it. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great show. I will definitely be watching.
Yeah.
All
right, so Falcons Fury.
Shout out Falcons Fury.
Yeah, he seems like a good dude. What's up, guys?
Love
both you guys, even though you stink, you spell rotten as hell. Haha. No, but in all seriousness, we will be better, but never good as 2016 on offense. Also, Matt isn't the issue. Yeah, it's Sarkisian is the issue.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Falcons Fury. Good dude. I love him. I love that guy. And we'll see. I mean, he seems like he's a lot more realist about his team.
David Atlanta, Sark does suck. If you two watch all my past videos, you should know I said that. But okay, so he sucks, but so if you think he sucks, then why do you think they're going to win a Super Bowl? I don't get that. I like you two, but I support my team, and you two are wrong. Very talented roster. What the fuck? Week 1, I will eat you guys for lunch. Okay. The 2012 Eagles had a very talented roster. The dream team. Sometimes it's not about it's you have to bring it all together, and you have to have schematically something that you can use all those pieces and parts. That's why, again, like Kyle Shanahan, that's why what he did, it was so damn impressive. Every time the Atlanta Falcons had the ball in 2016, I felt like they were going to score a touchdown. That offense was just humming up and down the field. It was unbelievable.
Look, if something happened and Atlanta was to win a Super Bowl, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they do have a very talented roster, but they don't always play up to it, especially when on the road. They're not a good road team. They're not a good road team in the playoffs, outside, in the Northeast. It's just not going to win. I just can't see them winning unless they have home field advantage. That's the only way I see them going. They have to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Yeah. David Atlanta chimes back in. I hope Sark corrects it. So I'm not a realist of my Falcons. He sucked last season. He has to make changes. I believe we will win it. I know the kind of team we have, sir. I know the kind of team you have too, though. I know all 32 teams like the back of my hand, not just my own team. And I'm very worried about the red zone efficiency as a Falcons fan. You guys went from top 3 to 23rd. The 2 games leading into the divisional round against Philadelphia, you had 12 scoring drives, and 9 of them were field goals. 25% of the time you're scoring touchdowns when you're in the red zone that last 2 games. So 23rd overall last year for a team that was like 6th in yards. So it's great that you can move the ball up and down the field, but if you can't punch it into the end zone, you're not going to win football games.
Yeah, we had that same problem in the red zone a few years back. We couldn't score touchdowns. That comes back to haunt you big time in football. Yeah, it does.
If you had Kyle Shanahan as your offensive coordinator, yes, you're a great team. I think that a Super Bowl favorite, but he's in San Francisco now.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, I mean, we'll see. I think Atlanta is going to be competitive. I think they're talented. And we'll see what they do. I think they have a tougher team in their division that they're going to have to go up against. I don't know how they're going to beat the Saints, to be honest. Yeah. I think the Saints are good. I think the Saints are about a 12-4, 13-3 team. I think we are about the same, and I think it'll be between the Eagles and the Saints in the end.
Yeah.
And I think Green Bay is, of course, the wild card because Aaron Rodgers can go off at any time, in any place, anywhere. And that's always scary.
I know our red zone issues. All I will say is when you're watching us beat you down week 1, remember everything I'm saying. But what do you say? How are the Falcons schematically going to beat the Eagles? What players on your roster, what are they going to do to exploit matchups of the Eagles? These are the things I'm going to ask you come week 1, so you got to be prepared.
I think it's going to be hard to beat the Eagles week 1.
EDP's in the house.
What's up, EDP? How you doing, buddy?
Yeah. Dominic Purdy says, do you think Pumphrey will be our 4th running back? I think so. Really excited to see what he's going to do. You think want to trade a cornerback because we have too much?
I don't think Pumphrey's going to make the team personally. But, they say comfortable. He looked so bad. He looked like a deer in headlights. So, I mean, we'll see. But I don't know. I don't have high expectations for Pumphrey. I just don't. Yeah. I wanted Tariq Cohen at that pick.
I know you.
I haven't recovered.
I know you did. Yeah, I'm with you. We'll see. Like, he's another one that I'm actually hearing good things about, and I'm just like, oh my god. Yeah. I swear to God, like if he's getting,
I've heard good things about him, but he looked so bad that good things about him may not be that much because it was so bad last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The expectations are really low for him coming into training camp.
Sark, despite his issues, we had 10 wins, beat down the really good Rams in LA, and should have beaten the Eagles. Okay, that's actually, that's kind of my point. 10 wins, a 10-6, steady, consistent 10-6 team. Thank you for making my point.
Yeah.
He stinks, Sarkisian.
Oh boy, I can't wait for that episode of Behind Enemy Lines.
Well, I don't understand the logic that they should have beaten the Eagles. I don't get this because think. Okay, there were 25 total points scored in the game. I relayed the statistic: 12 scoring drives, 9 field goals. They needed a touchdown. The odds of them scoring a touchdown on that drive, even when they were in the red zone, was less than 20%. So how should they have won if they had a less than 20% chance of scoring in the final minutes? A 15-point margin. A 5-point margin in a 25-point scored game is the same thing as a 10-point margin in a game that has 50 total points. It's the same thing.
Right.
So you needed a touchdown. You only scored 1 touchdown all game. So why did you think that you were going to score in that situation when you hadn't scored in the red zone for 3 weeks? And the Eagles, on top of that, did not allow a go-ahead score all season long in the final 2 minutes of a game.
Well, you know what it is that going into that game, the Eagles were the underdogs. They were, right? I don't know what point spread was, but they were the underdogs. Everybody had seen Foles struggle going, at the end of the year, and they thought it was going to be a cakewalk, and they underestimated the team, and only fans really knew that the Eagles were going to win that game because I didn't hear anybody from anywhere else even pick the Eagles to win that game.
Yeah. Let's see.
And then
I also see with Ridley, Sanu, Hardy, Julio, and Calvin, we will spread the ball. How will you stop that? And Freeman and Coleman. Well, Freeman had 7 yards last year. They run a zone-style running scheme, which is something the Eagles do really, really well with. Ridley, Sanu, Hardy, Julio, and Calvin. Okay. Sidney Jones, Ronald Darby. You can name our cornerbacks. Rasul Douglas, Jalen Mills. They can match up. Julio Jones is the guy, he always gets 100 yards against Philly, but then the rest of those guys, can they step up? That's the question. I also think you still have the defensive line you got to deal with, so you got to remember that. So in order to get Julio the ball, the Matt Ryan needs to take deeper drops because they like to go downfield with him. Play action, they like to run the deep end stuff, the deep post stuff. So you have to protect Matt Ryan if you want to get the ball to those guys. So you can name all those talents and those guys, but if you're not keeping Matt Ryan upright, those guys don't matter. Because at the end of the day, if you have some deep penetration, can't get the ball to those guys, and it's game over.
Well, yeah, and we know that with a lot of teams, the way they play the Eagles is they like to play quick drops, get the ball out quickly, and that's how they play them. So when they do that, you're not going to have those big, deep opportunities as much as you would with other teams. That defensive line is brutal for the Eagles. It's brutal.
Yeah. And they couldn't contain Fletcher Cox in the divisional round last year.
No.
Deep.
There it is.
Yeah.
It's back. You need a shirt with that.
I know. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Your cornerbacks can't match up completely, but your D-line more than makes up for that. That's why I say we should expose your linebackers in coverage. Your linebackers are good, not great coverage.
With Jordan Hicks back.
If Jordan Hicks is healthy, actually, their coverage at linebacker is actually great because you have Bradham is really good at that. That's part of the point with the defensive line. You mask some deficiencies in your secondary if you have a great D line. Where you can expose the cornerbacks is if you have a quick 3-step passing game, but the Falcons don't really implement that.
No. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. All right. That's about it.
That's it. That's a wrap.
I can't. David Atlanta says I can't wait for this show. Just so you know, I don't break down stuff too much. I just bring the heat, hate, in my opinion. So the question is, can you handle what I will bring? What are you going to bring? There's nothing you have brought in yet. I've been destroying all of your comments and your opinions. I've proved all of them wrong. You said that the Falcons should have won in the divisional round. If they had a less than 20% chance of scoring inside the 10-yard line. Eagles had 80% chance of winning. So how did they get lucky? Why did the Falcons? Why should they have won? If the odds were stacked against them, they didn't need a field goal; they needed a touchdown.
But it's always a shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? I mean, you either win or you don't win. When they played the Super Bowl, they had a big lead. They blew the lead. They choked it away. When they came in and they played us, they couldn't score more than 10 points. So at the end of the day, whether you could have or you would have or whatever, if you don't do it, then you didn't do it. And that's my issue with the Falcons. They can't win the big game at the big time, at the big moment. Yeah. And last year showed and the Super Bowl. And that's just the truth. You know, until they get over that and they can win these games that they can't win when it counts, then why should they beat the Eagles?
Yeah. All right. So I'll just chime in. We'll do one more question or one more comment. My Cowboys family says, if you watch Cowboys camp, it's like an entire new passing offense. I can't wait. Okay.
Yeah, and shout out to my Cowboys family too.
Yeah.
Like, he's a very good channel over there.
But this goes back to again, like training camp. People get hyped up over training camp and because there's nothing else to talk about during the summer. Baseball is slow. Nobody watches baseball videos. Nobody watches my baseball videos. I get less than 200 views. I don't even know why I do them. But there's nothing going on. So we watch these training camps, and like even in Philadelphia, we're getting overhyped about Matt Pryor and overhyped about some guys. So I think it's happening in Dallas too. They see this new offense. They think it's going to be great and Cheerios and Lucky Charms and all that stuff. But it may not be. It's just one step. So the offense might look great. Okay, next step is preseason. Okay, if you're still looking good, great. Now it's time for the regular season. Let's see if you can bring it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Any final thoughts?
No, it was great to be back to Bitter Dingbats. I look forward to this season. I look forward to stuff that we do this year when we get to do it, and it's going to be fun.
Yep. All right. That's it. So that is Philly 500. I am Adrian Fedke. I thank you guys for tuning in, and week one's going to be a blast. It's going to be a blast.
It's going to be fun.
Take
I
care.
love it. Peace.